I spoke 9 times in 3 days and I got like $67.33. I was so discouraged. How am I gonna go back home to my wife and give her $67? One time someone even paid me with oranges. It was all bad. I remember saying, this isn't gonna work. God, I wanna serve you. God, I wanna help a lot of people, but I don't wanna be poor. I don't wanna be broke. I don't wanna be struggling. So you gotta help me figure this out. I've been able to build a system where my calendar was filled, where I was traveling 200 to 300 days a year. If you're watching this, you might be wondering, okay, how can I get started? I don't have a movie named Freedom Riders about me. I haven't done a TED Talk. I don't have a best-selling book. I don't have a speaker bureau representing me. I don't have some big name speaker endorsing me. So like, can I do this? And my answer to you is yes, you can. You don't need any of those things. What I've learned in my maturity, I've been speaking over 25 years now. I'm going to teach you what I think you need in order to succeed as a speaker. So stay with me till the end if you just want the big picture. One of the most memorable speaking engagements I had was at ASCD in Boston, where I spoke to over 10,000 people about their power to alter the trajectory of their students' lives. And I shared my approach with them. And afterwards, a long line of people just formed for like 3-4 hours or more, where I signed books and took pictures and just encouraged people. And without fail, people come up to me in the line and ask, how can I do what you do? How can I become a paid speaker? I have a message that I want to share with audiences like this. So can you help me? Can you mentor me? But because I've been so busy doing the work, so busy speaking, I haven't had a lot of time or energy to actually mentor people one-on-one. I was traveling 200 to 300 days a year, just speaking all over the nation, all over the globe. I was just traveling and just trying to manage my energy for my family, for my children, for my PhD, while also being fully present for my audiences. I just had to be very disciplined with my time, and I had to tell a lot of people no, and I had a lot of boundaries up. But for those of you out there who want to become paid speakers, there are a lot of people, a lot of speaker coaches out there selling lies. They're telling you they can help you become keynote speakers, but they haven't been keynote speakers, and they don't have any receipts to show that they've been keynote speakers. And they're using AI graphics and all this other stuff to try to lie to you and manipulate you and take your money. And very few people out there that I've seen marketing themselves as speaker coaches, keynote speaker coaches, have even a fraction of the experience that I have and a few of my colleagues have. And so if you want to learn from the best, and you want to learn from the people who've actually done the work. If you just look at my testimonials.
The best speaker we've had in 25 years.
The best of the best.
I think he's done more to touch kids in an hour than I've done in 30 years.
He's changed my whole mindset. This was probably one of the best speakers I've ever listened to.
I'm still kind of trembling from the power of his message.
Forever changed my life, forever and ever. I just want to say you're the best speaker I've ever heard in all the conferences and all the years.
You're hard-pressed to find a speaker that can come out and really uniquely apply their life and their message to both students and teachers. Just so powerful.
This was the best thing that Green Forest Schools has ever done for our kids.
I've forgotten a lot of my purpose and a lot of the reason why I'm doing this and a lot of the reason why I'm here. And he reminded me of what we're doing, what we're trying to do, and why my role is important.
I couldn't have imagined the response from the kids, the response from the faculty.
He gives us hope that the work that we do as educators can make a difference.
So I was like taking my water, like trying not to cry in there.
It was more motivating and more inspiring and more heartfelt and emotional than I ever imagined that it could be.
It was awesome!
Yeah, it totally was. It was awesome.
I'm inspired.
I learned today, you never follow animals, you never follow children, and you never follow Manny.
It was so influential.
His message hit that spot on and made the why very evident.
I was a little tired this morning, but I'm not anymore. I'm ready to go.
The 20 years that I've been in education, I've never attended a professional development that really seemed so real
Our staff will be the better for having heard his message.
Today he over-delivered of what we expected from him.
It reinvigorated me to see like these kids don't just need help with ABCs and stuff like that. They need help with life.
Your cultural normal isn't necessarily universal.
Pedagogy and content are not enough to make an impact.
It is something finally we can relate to.
He's got a message that will make across the United States, American high schools, a better place for education. He will speak directly to your heart. I can't endorse Manny Scott any better than that.
I knew it was going to be powerful based on what I had seen myself, but it was even more amazing than what I had hoped it would be.
He is the most inspirational and gifted speaker I have ever listened to in my entire career.
I've heard the greatest presenters from the church and in conferences for 40 years. And I say this honestly and truthfully to you, I've never heard anyone connect with an audience and feel their pain and feel their needs the way you did with these educators today.
If you just look at what others have said through the years, the consistent feedback I've gotten is that was the best speaker or best speech or best keynote I have ever heard in my life. I don't share that to impress you, but to impress upon you that I've done the work. But don't take my word for it. Look at my receipts. Okay, so who am I? I'm Dr. Manny Scott. I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I'm a pilot, I'm an investor. But all of this grew out of my ability to stand on stages and inspire people, touch people, move people, challenge people, educate people, enlighten people, make people laugh, and remind people that their work matters. And so let me back up and tell you how I got started for you to kind of see my journey. And then I'm going to teach you what I think you need in order to succeed as a speaker. So stay with me till the end if you just want the big picture. So I lived in 26 places before I was 16, slept on homeless floors, the floors of homeless shelters. Had a lot of problems, man. Just a lot of instability. My mother did the best she could with what she had, but things were hard. My grades suffered. I ditched school from 4th to 9th grade, 60 to 90 days of school every year. A 0.6 the first semester of my freshman year. Eventually I just dropped out. My best friend was killed. I was just angry and I was lost and I was broken. But I returned to school with this new resolve, with this new faith, with this desire to make something out of myself. And I went from F's and D's to A's and B's in one semester. I made the dean's list. And then I was placed in the back of an English teacher's class who saw my potential. And she helped me apply to her dream school and several other schools, but her dream school was UC Berkeley. I got into UC Berkeley, I went to Berkeley, and I was studying rhetoric and political science because I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. And so when I graduated, before I went to law school, I wanted to make sure that I wanted to be a lawyer. I went to work at this law firm and I didn't like it, so I went to a different law firm as a litigation specialist. And while I was there, I was invited to be a camp counselor at a camp for foster children, who'd been molested and hurt and abused, and yeah, just some of the worst things you can imagine happened to these kids. And the last night of that camp, I stood to speak, to give those kids a word of encouragement. And when I was looking out at them, I just saw younger versions of me. And I felt like I had overcome many of the things that they were facing. And I remember feeling this fire in my chest, like, man, this is what I think God is calling me to do. Not to be a lawyer, but to give hope to the hopeless and to inspire the least, the last, the lost, and the left out. And so I left that camp after a week, went back to my law firm job, and I'm like, man, I don't want to be a lawyer. I feel like God is calling me to the ministry. And so I went and talked to my pastor, and just so happens he had an opening for the discipleship and education position at his church. It was a mega church. I started to find my voice serving at that church. And I said, you know what? I need to become a more sharp and exact tool in God's hand for His purposes, for His glory. So let me go to seminary. So I went to grad school, I went to seminary and got my Master of Divinity. And I'm training at this point to become a pastor. I believe that maybe God wants to use me through His local church to minister to the people in the community, to the young people in that community. And so I was serving several churches during seminary, and when I graduated, started feeling this burden for people who didn't come to church, or people who churches weren't ready for. People who were rough around the edges, people like the little Manny Scotts, man, who were struggling with a whole lot of stuff at home. And I started feeling that God was calling me to leave the four walls of the church and to speak and give hope to people who are in the situation that I used to be in. Those who were homeless, those who were struggling, those who hated school. I resigned from my job. I started emailing schools and I started sending faxes. That's what it was. And I was getting little opportunities here or there, but it wasn't a lot. One time I was booked to speak, and I spoke 9 times in 3 days, and I didn't have a fee set or anything, and I got like $67.33. It was all like bills and like a bunch of coins in an envelope. They handed it to me, and I just put it in my pocket and drove off, feeling good, like, man, I had helped a lot of people. Man, I got paid for this. And opened the envelope, and I was so discouraged because I'm like, man, how am I gonna go back home to my wife and give her $67 or whatever? It really, I don't remember the exact amount, but it wasn't more than $70. It was like $60 and some change. And I remember saying, this isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna work. Like, I was getting these little opportunities, and I was starting to get like $300 per speech. And in my brain, I said, okay. One time, someone even paid me with oranges. It was all bad. Man, I can't believe this. God, I want to serve you. God, I want to help a lot of people, but I don't want to be poor, man. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be struggling. So you got to help me figure this out. I just got this random call on my phone to speak in Hong Kong to 12,000 people from 192 countries. And the speaker the year before me was President Nelson Mandela, and the person before that was like Coretta Scott King, the widow of Martin Luther King Jr. And the year they were inviting me, they said the committee is trying to decide between the international president of the Red Cross, some president or prime minister of some country, or you. And unanimously, everybody wants you. They heard you somewhere, and they just want you. Everybody wants you. Will you come? And I'm like, yeah, I'll come. And they paid me $3,500, and they paid for my wife's ticket. Our flights were $15,000 per person, and they even upgraded us to first class. It was incredible. Flew to Hong Kong, delivered a powerful keynote address without notes, without a manuscript, just speaking from my heart. I prepared myself, standing ovation, got a bunch of invitations out of that. But I left that opportunity saying, this is one of the most wonderful jobs in the world, where you can make a difference, you can have an impact, and make a wonderful income. $3,500, that was a lot of money for me at that time. And so I came home, I said, I gotta figure out how to create more opportunities like this. But at the time I didn't have a system, I didn't know how to really fill my calendar with bookings. And so I was reading books. I was asking other speakers what they did, and people brushed me off. Like, they saw me as competition, they saw me as a threat. And I was so humble, man, and so open to learn, but they were just jealous that I was getting big opportunities to speak on the big stage, and they didn't understand why I was being picked and they weren't. And so, like, around this time, the movie Freedom Riders comes out, and it's a movie that's partly about my teacher and her students, and I was one of her students, and how we used writing to turn our lives around. And I was like the first success story from like the Freedom Riders classroom. But I was going into ministry. I wasn't thinking about Freedom Riders. I was just trying to help people and tell my story, but I didn't have a system. And so I've been able to build a system where my calendar was filled, where I was traveling 200 to 300 days a year, speaking sometimes 8 or 9 times a day, which was unhealthy, sometimes 120 times in a month, which almost killed me, but it made me really good at what I do on stages. But I found a system. And so if you're watching this, you might be wondering, okay, how can I get started? I don't have a movie named Freedom Riders about me. I haven't done a TED Talk. I don't have a best-selling book. I don't have a speaker bureau representing me. I don't have some big name speaker endorsing me. So like, can I do this? And my answer to you is yes, you can. Yes, you can. I didn't have any of those things. I wasn't famous. Like, there are 150 Freedom Riders. It's not a given that I would succeed as a speaker. You don't need any of those things. What I've learned through the years in my maturity, I've been speaking over 25 years now. The most important thing, secret number one is everything you say and everything you do flows from who you are, flows from your identity. So first, secret number one is you need to get clear about who you are and your identity. You cannot outperform your self-concept. You cannot cheat your self-concept. How you see yourself really controls how you live and how you behave. So if you lack clarity about who you are, you can get lost in the sauce. And then secret number two is you need to have a message. Not just a story. Everyone has a story, but a message flows from a story that's been properly processed. And so you need a story, and from that story, it's from your story that you get your credibility and your experience, whether it's your education, your expertise, some trauma you've endured and overcome. Those experiences alone don't give you a message. They give you a story, but you need a message. And a message it flows from who you are, and it flows from your story, it flows from your experience. But there is a message that comes out of those things. And so you need a really strong signature keynote address, a signature message that will get you in the door, a signature message that differentiates you from every other speaker. You need a message. But not only that, a message alone is not good enough if no one knows you exist. And so you need visibility. And you need to know how to use that visibility to grow your influence and to build trust with people so that eventually you can convert that trust into bookings, into money, into income. And so there's a whole system that you have to develop of building your platform, okay? And then not only that, once you've gotten the bookings, you need to be able to show up and capture and keep the attention of your audience. There's a process that I created that you have to go through in order to make it to that stage and not only meet needs, but exceed their expectations, exceed the expectations of the person who booked you. That's really big. And there's an art and science to that. And not everybody has the personality or the skill set or the mindset to be successful, effective, and appropriate keynote speakers. And I've mastered that on the stage. And then there's another way to deliver information on a camera when you're delivering things virtually and online via Zoom or whatnot. And I've figured that out too. And I've been able to monetize that and make a great living from it. But after you've delivered, that's one thing. How can you take the money you've made and build a business around it? How can you take this message and expand it through products and other services? And how can you create a value ladder and continue serving people at a higher level? I've figured all of those things out. And so you need to get clear about your identity, your message. You need to have visibility and trust and be able to convert that. And you need to be able to deliver that message, articulate that message with power, with clarity. There's an art and science to that. And then you need to know how to turn that into a business that you can scale, an enterprise. And all of that leads to transformation. All of this is done for transformation. It's not about what you do when you're on the stage. It's about what happens after you're gone. How do people change after you've gone, after you've delivered your message? And that's what I have learned. And I've created this Stagebound Institute to mentor you and walk you through my exact process. And not only that, it's customized to you, where you are, your personality, your story, your strengths, your traumas. And it helps you get clear about who you are. It helps you get clear about your story and how you got to where you are. And then it helps you extract the message from that story so that you can use it as your tip of the arrow to get you bookings and opportunities. And then we create a marketing system to help increase your visibility and build trust with an audience and convert that trust into dollars. And then not only that, I mentor you on how to, the process you should go through to really be your absolute best when you're standing on the stage before people. And how do you maximize those opportunities? How do you sell from the stage? How do you help build trust and establish rapport with an audience that might not be happy to see you? How do you address people when the first third of the room is empty and they're not excited to be in this room with you? These are things, what do you do when the mic goes out? What do you do when the light's bad? What do you do when there's a heckler in the audience? We talk about all of those kinds of things. And then how do you build and structure your business? I created this Stagebound Institute of Rhetoric for speaking professionals. My goal is to help purpose-driven people find your voice and use that voice to grow your influence, grow your impact, and grow your income. And so if that's you, I highly recommend that you sign up. This is not a gimmick. I don't need to do this, but I feel responsible to train other speakers. Speaking is about responsibility. It's being responsible for the message that's within you and responsible for the audiences that need to hear that message, and delivering your message in a way that is trustworthy with people's attention, trustworthy of people's attention. And that's what my Stagebound Institute of Rhetoric for Speaking Professionals is about. So sign up and begin learning. I think this will add tremendous value to your life if you really want to get into this. And really, if you get one speaking engagement out of this, it pays for itself. I've made a whole lot of money and helped a whole lot of people from this work. And I started with getting orange wedges to $300 to $3,500 to $5,000, $10,000 to $50,000 to millions of dollars, okay? But I didn't do it for the money. The money came because of my commitment to excellence, because of my love for people. And I've been able to build an amazing life for myself and for my family. And to become a pilot, to buy my own airplane, to travel the world and take my family with me. And to really build the life of my dreams. I've freed myself from having to work for anyone else. And I've learned how to invest in real estate and other things in order to create passive income so that I don't have to work anymore. And so this is really a labor of love. And I'm charging you because when people pay, they pay attention. I could give this away for free, but what I found is people don't value things that are free. And so you need to invest in yourself. And if you invest in yourself, then you'll put the work in that's required to succeed. And so this is for you, and I highly recommend you check it out. And if not, that's fine too. I don't need it. This is for you, but I've put 25 years of my blood, sweat, and tears into this institute. And I'm just grateful to be able to have a place where my heart is housed. This is not about information, it's about transformation. I want to help form you into someone who is responsible for your message and responsible for the opportunity, who is a good steward of the message you've been given, who is a good steward of the story you have, and someone who loves people and is a good steward of the audiences that you're being entrusted with and how to get before those right audiences. So if that's you, I highly recommend you sign up and begin your journey with me. And again, this is really me mentoring you and guiding you and shaping you. It is my best thinking and my real life experiences being poured into you as a speaker. And there might be opportunities for me to coach you one-on-one, but that will be a different level of investment. And right now I think this is a good start for everybody. And then from this we can go to the next level. If you want specific mentorship from me one-on-one, where we're Zoom calling and we might meet up in person, that's different. But I'm not offering that right now. I have 3 teenagers, and one of them is going to college very soon, and I'm being very present with him for that, and enjoying this time with my family. But if you want to learn, this is the opportunity for you. I don't know how long I'll leave it up. We'll see how many people take advantage of it. If not many people take advantage of it, it will go away forever. But it's not going to it's not going to be because I didn't try. Okay? If while I'm talking, you're saying, I have the message, I have the story, or I have the story and I have the experiences, I have a message, but I just don't know how to craft it, perfect it, refine it, or fill my calendar with bookings for this message. I don't know how to do those things. I don't know how to grow a business. I've done it. So learn from me. All right. I'm your friend, Dr. Manny Scott. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want more of this, because I got a lot more coming. All right. God bless you. Talk to you soon.